And we are live from Bloomberg's world headquarters in New York. I'm Shanali Basak.
And I'm Tim Stanovac. Welcome to Bloomberg Crypto. It's a look at the people, transactions, and technology shaping the world of decentralized finance.
And crypto prices have closed out on a rough quarter, where Bitcoin has slumped and cut into the rally that we saw after the U.S. election.
That election saw President Trump return to the White House and usher in a wave of optimism around the industry. The Trump family is getting involved as well. In just a moment, we're going to speak with Eric Trump alongside the CEO of Hut 8.
And speaking of President Trump, he is said to have pardoned the 3 co-founders of the storied crypto exchange, BitMEX. We're going to give you the details.
All that ahead on Bloomberg Crypto. First, though, a snapshot of the market. And you know, it is the first day of the new quarter, so worth taking stock and taking a look at how Bitcoin did in the first quarter of the year. Not so hot. It actually fell about 13% just in the first 3 months of the year. Yes, it was also the quarter where it notched a new record of more than $107,000. That was actually the day after Inauguration Day. Though since then, Shanali, it's down about 20% from that all-time high.
And Tim, I want to show you what happened to crypto-related equities as well, because not only have they erased a lot of the bump they've seen since the election, Coinbase has fallen in the worst quarterly performance since the FTX collapse near the end of 2022, more than 30%. And if you take a look, there are a few outliers here. Despite the announcement of a strategic Bitcoin reserves, stablecoin legislation, and an SEC crypto task force, there are really only 2 of the major stocks in the green, and that is Strategy, of course, a levered play, and you also have Coinbase. Robinhood, the biggest competitor to Coinbase, actually up on the year, still more than 15%. Now, there are more stocks, but digging deeper and deeper into crypto.
I give Shanali the hard job of reading that chart. Hey, despite the lag in sentiment, Michael Sonnenschein told us there's plenty of opportunity.
The executive branch of government that continues to come out publicly and say, we want to make the U.S. a crypto hub, a Bitcoin hub of innovation, means that the opportunity around this asset class is going to be here in the U.S.
Delta Blockchain Fund General Partner Kavita Gupta joins us now. You look at what was experienced, clearly a tough quarter in Bitcoin. What's the narrative, though, moving forward? There seems to still be a little concern, given the choppy waters out there in the macro environment.
Yeah, hi, Sonali. I feel like market, it's all about consumers, right? And the liquidity has really dried down. Going back to what we talked earlier also, that tariffs, let's see how the tariffs works out tomorrow. There is a big price in, which has already happened in the market. So people are waiting to see how this really going to play out tomorrow. We also have tax season going out, plus liquidity with respect to blockchain, crypto, and a lot of tech in a public market space has really dried down. And all those things combine back to confidence in all the amazing stuff which this administration has talked about for positivity about crypto. Is that really going to work out or not? So I see a lot of institutional capital, but that institutional capital is not really bringing the retail. And until and unless we have a retail, which is completely based on the confidence in the government and their policies, we're not going to see a big jump in anywhere.
Kavita, you made the call back in 2023 that Bitcoin would hit $100,000 in the first quarter of 2025. That ended up coming true, so I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Give us another call for this year, for next year. What do you see?
Tim, that is so tough given where the market is. I would say at least for some time, we're going to see this market going plus minus 10-15%, a swing out there. I'm very happy ETH moved going around 1800, a little under 1800 to 1900 plus again. Said that overall, whether that happens in Q4 of this year or Q1 of next year, I do see a market plunging back and coming really back. I would easily say Bitcoin 125 to 130. I would say ETH going up to 4,500 because I really believe the technology at the end of the day, as I've always said, like Ethereum is back to being the highest charging gas fee or highest charging revenue fees with respect to DeFi again. So the techs are very solid. All we need is more confidence in this government, the policies, a little bit more stability about what's really happening in a geopolitical manner, whether it's war, whether it's tariffs. and that confidence from the retail customer to come back into the space.
One major question I have is, speaking of the government, you see the Trump family and the interest that there has been in the crypto space more broadly, and you find that the oldest sons of the president, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr., a firm associated with them, are merging with a company to create American Bitcoin. What do you make of that move? In addition to that move of a stablecoin launch from World Liberty, there has been some question about whether it would draw flows into these projects away from other more long-standing crypto projects.
Sonali, I look at it as a pros and a con. The pro is that there is everything which they are saying, what they are preaching is what they are walking. So if President Trump is saying it, his whole family is also working in that particular sector, saying that they really have confidence in it. So that's a big pro. Whether that Bitcoin mining project or the exchange project or multiple other things which they do takes away from other people, if it's a monopoly, great to have other options. But at the end of the day, I do want to believe into the retail customers' intelligence. On the other side, if I look at it, is I don't know how much is that a conflict of interest and how much is that some sort of getting prioritization above other credible projects. So that is something which we yet have to be seen, that if they are getting into Bitcoin mining, even though they are going with HUD 8, which is a long-standing credible project, what about others? And is there going to be some sort of a preferential treatment out here, which yet to be seen? But overall, I do believe by doing this, we're going to see more American customers sitting in middle of America who have really voted for President Trump to really believe into it more, and we do need that liquidity.
Is that something you're concerned about, Kavita, preferential treatment for companies that the Trump family has partnered with?
That is always a concern anywhere around the world when you have family very close to or people have access to the power doing what power is dictating. You always wants to know, hey, are the licenses going to be easy? Are the regulations going to be a little lighter out here? How the execution going to work out? Because the downside of that is if they do not execute it right, if they do end up shilling something which or promising something which they don't have to deliver, we all suffer as an industry, right? This industry is still figuring out its white ground, and we have been in gray for a long time. And if the highest level is not able to deliver, we all suffer as the industry, and I really hope that doesn't happen to us.
You know, one question I have to the point that you were talking about before, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the sour sentiment at the moment. These are two assets that drew tremendous interest when you saw spot ETFs created around them. There was a lot of excitement around new spot ETFs across the industry. But with this kind of mood music, do you think that there can be successful launches of spot ETFs at this juncture?
100%. I can see Solana ETF coming into the market super soon because they have also proven themselves. And I think that has been getting priced into their prices also, if you look at it. I feel institutions still have a lot of belief and faith in cryptocurrency, especially the blue chip ones. There is no doubt. I mean, look at the options, the perps which are getting done. There is still a big flow of institutional capital. What is scary, or what is, I would say, a shaky ground is the retail customer. And that is where we need to get the liquidity back to have a big peak height of 21. If you remember 21, early 22, before FTX crashed down, it was retail customer which has really defined the industry. I think that's what we need. But the institutional capital right now is holding on to the prices what we have.
All right, Delta Blockchain Fund General Partner Kavita Gupta. Kavita, always good to check in. Thank you so much for joining us on Bloomberg Crypto. Well, coming up, HUD 8 Mining just formed the American Bitcoin Corp with Eric Trump as its chief strategy officer. We're going to discuss with Eric and Asher Genoot, the CEO of HUD 8, next. This is Bloomberg.
President Trump has pardoned 3 co-founders of the storied crypto exchange BitMEX. Remember, BitMEX is one of the first big criminal enforcement cases targeting the crypto market. All 3 pled guilty to violating the Bank Secrecy Act in 2022. Bloomberg's Stephanie Lai reported on this. What has been the reaction to the pardons and the rationale for them?
I mean, I think among the crypto industry, what they've been looking for the last couple of months while President Trump has been in office is action. And this is exactly that. On his first day, he started talking about crypto. He signed a couple of crypto executive orders. He also issued pardons. And so this is just the latest in a string of events. Now, some of the crypto executive orders didn't receive a whole lot of positive reception from the industry, just given the fact that it didn't do a whole lot. Obviously, they did create a crypto reserve. Not that that really changes the ball on our federal deficit at this moment, but it could have a potentially positive effect in the future. So all this is to say is that the latest move to pardon these three founders is just another positive indication that the president is thinking about the crypto industry, that he's committed to fulfilling what many people have been asking for. And a lot of that is just to reduce the targeting that many people in the industry have felt relating to how the federal government has been handling cryptocurrency.
Yeah, your story lists quite a bit. I'm going to read from it. The U.S. SEC has dismissed or put on hold at least a dozen cases or investigation since the president was inaugurated back in January. Companies including Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, Consensus, and Ripple. The question that I have when I saw this news pass on Friday is Sam Bankman-Fried next?
Well, we have reporting from my colleagues at Bloomberg that they have been in talks with people in Trump's orbit to try to seek a pardon for Sam Bankman-Fried. This would be probably the most high-profile pardon that he's given yet, ever since Ross Ulbricht. But beyond that, the fact that he is thinking about these people really does serve an indication to the markets, to the industry, that he's fully committed to seeing through with the crypto agenda.
Hey, Stephanie, one more before we let you go. I'm curious about what message that would send to the crypto industry. I mean, certainly not a figure that is widely looked upon by everybody within the industry as a hero, similar to other folks who the president has commuted or pardoned.
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. Not all of the moves that the administration or Trump's family have made have had a overwhelmingly positive reaction from people outside of the White House, particularly thinking about the meme coin. And as you know, Sam Bankman-Fried is somewhat of a divisive character here. And so I think a lot of Republicans, at least in this space, have been saying, at least the president is talking about it. At least the administration is trying to take positive steps. And they're trying to downplay some of these other particularly or potentially controversial moves.
Bloomberg's Stephanie Lai at the White House. Let's stay at the White House and turn now to the White House press briefing, where Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt is holding a briefing.
Of their choosing that best suits their educational needs, and he is going to empower state and local leaders to make those decisions on behalf of our nation's children. Thanks for being here, Mark. Jeff.
Just changing subjects for 1 second. The administration has expressed a complete confidence in how all the deportation flights to El Salvador were conducted. But now that the administration has conceded that there was an error of one Salvadoran national, will there be any reviews conducted? And does the president express any thoughts on the one error that was disclosed in court last night?
Well, first of all, the error that you are referring to was a clerical error. It was an administrative error. The administration maintains the position that this individual who was deported to El Salvador and will not be returning to our country was a member of the brutal and vicious MS-13 gang. That is fact number one. Fact number two, we also have credible intelligence proving that this individual was involved in human trafficking. And fact number three, this individual was a member, actually a leader of the brutal MS-13 gang, which this president has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Fact number four is that foreign terrorists do not have legal protections in the United States of America anymore, and it is within the president's executive authority and power to deport these heinous individuals from American communities. It is a promise he campaigned on. It is a promise he is keeping. And every single person in this room should be grateful for that, considering especially MS-13 is very prevalent and prominent here in the District of Columbia, in Maryland, and in Virginia. And the president, the attorney general, everyone who has been involved in these operations is focused on eradicating these criminals and terrorists from our communities.
The vice president said he was a convicted member of MS-13. What evidence is there to back that up?
There's a lot of evidence, and the Department of Homeland Security and ICE have that evidence, and I saw it this morning. Steve.
Has the president fully made up his mind on the level of tariffs to impose tomorrow? We keep hearing about a 20% flat rate.
The president said last night he has made a decision and a determination. I was with him in the Oval Office earlier, and he is going to announce that decision tomorrow. I don't want to get ahead of the president. This is obviously a very big day. He's with his trade and tariff team right now, perfecting it to make sure this is a perfect deal for the American people and the American worker, and you will all find out in about 24 hours from now.
And are the car tariffs going to go into effect on April 3rd as scheduled?
Correct. Yes, they will.
Okay. And last thing, would you like to respond to the Chinese military drills around Taiwan?
Yes, I would. As a matter of fact, the National Security Council briefed me on this morning, and they said that the president is emphasizing the importance of maintaining peace in the Taiwan Strait, encouraging the peaceful resolution of these cross-strait issues, reiterating our opposition to any unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion. That is directly from the National Security Advisor. Just for you, Steve Holland of Reuters. Monica.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Elon Musk this week revealed that Doge found that the Biden administration issued over 2 million Social Security numbers to illegal aliens, found 20 million dead people marked as alive in the Social Security system. Has the White House confirmed these numbers with Elon, and is the White House looking into correcting this?
I'm not sure about those specific numbers that Mr. Musk cited. I can tell you what the Social Security Administration has said themselves, according to an Inspector General's report that was conducted last year, showing there was nearly $80 billion worth of fraud in this program. We know for a fact there are individuals who should not be receiving benefits on the Social Security rolls, and this administration is focused on cleaning out the waste, fraud, and abuse in every agency, but particularly in Social Security, to make it stronger for our tax-paying, law-abiding citizens who deserve these entitlements and programs. Because you did bring up Doge, I do want to tout the incredible efforts that have been made at the Environmental Protection Agency. And Administrator Lee Zeldin is just doing a tremendous job. Just yesterday and today it will be going into effect. He announced that taxpayers will be saved $8 million in annual lease costs by moving staff out of the 323,000 square feet of space that the EPA currently occupies, which is completely unnecessary. Yesterday, Administrator Zeldin also announced he will be shutting down a museum that the Biden administration built to tell a selective story about the EPA's history and climate change. It was a real pat on the back to President Biden. And guess how much American taxpayers paid for it? $4 million for this museum that I think only 1,000 visitors saw last year alone. And it will cost American taxpayers $600,000 per year to operate this museum. Well, it's not going to exist anymore. We're going to save taxpayers those critical funds. And Administrator Zeldin is very proud to announce that. And just at EPA alone, and the cuts that they have made, they've saved taxpayers more than $22 billion in wasteful grants and spending. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. When the president goes down to Florida on the weekends, does he ever hear from, there are so many retired folks down in Florida, does he ever hear from any retired Americans who are stressed about these wild swings in the stock market because of the tariff uncertainty, and they're sitting there on fixed income or living off a 401k, and they don't know how much money's going to be left?
Well, certainly they are legitimate concerns, and the president takes those concerns.
We're back with Hut 8 CEO Asher Genoot and Eric Trump. They just teamed up to form the American Bitcoin Corporation. Guys, thanks for your patience while we got that audio figured out. It's good to have you back both with us. Asher, we had to interrupt our question to you, so that's exactly where I want to pick up. The press release does say that Hut 8 is contributing its Bitcoin mining rigs to the new venture. What assets are the Trumps contributing, and is there any cash involved on either side of this deal?
When Eric and I really talked about our ideological philosophy behind Bitcoin and crypto, I asked, what are you doing with American data centers? And he gave me the background, what they're doing, what they had planned. And I said, let's bring these things together. We'll contribute our rigs into the entity in return for an 80% stake. And then we'll go build and scale and build this business together rather than from kind of a startup from a scaled operations already. So that's the plan today. Is American Bitcoin is a scaled mining operations day one, and we're going to go and build the biggest company in the sector.
Eric, I'd love some more specificity on the ownership here, too, because to the point that Asher was making, the 80% goes to their company, 20% to the American data centers. So what percentage stake do Trump family members have of this new company?
Yeah. That'll be disclosed in time, but it's majority stake, and we're very proud of it. I mean, this is an industry that I've come to love. Bitcoin is clearly digital gold. It's clearly the currency of the future. It's being embraced all over the world, and it's exciting to do this here in America. And when you look at when you look at their data centers, when you look at what they've done, what they've built, their capabilities, it made a whole lot of sense to do this with them. They're pragmatic. They're great guys. They're fast. They're able to deliver. They've done a great job, and then you take it, and you combine that with an asset that's appreciating 60% year over year over the last 10 years. You take a company that's able to literally mine Bitcoin for almost 50% of what it's trading for literally right now, and they're able to bring up the scale based on the pipeline that they have. It's a dynamite combination, and I think we're going to take the industry by storm. I've never been more excited about a project, and we're going to do incredible things together.
Now, according to reports, there is a plan to see this company go public, American Bitcoin. Asher, given that you own 80%, what is the plan? What is the roadmap to seeing that happen?
The vision here is to give shareholders a pure play mining company that has the ability to produce Bitcoin cheaper than just buying it. And so continuing to build the strategic reserve and be one of the largest Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin holders out there. For Hut 8, this made sense because we have investors that are investing into the infrastructure side of the business, into the AI side of the business, and into the Bitcoin side of the business. Now, investors can invest directly into the Bitcoin exposure, meanwhile investing into the energy exposure on the Hut 8 side for energy infrastructure. So you can see this long-term as two sister publicly traded companies, one that's energy infrastructure data centers, and then the other one that's Bitcoin ASICs in the reserve, and together they form a vertically integrated company that has some of the best economics out there and is going to be a leader because they're able to synergize together to scale for their individual shareholders.
Eric, World Liberty is launching a stablecoin. You're now working in mining. Your father has made stablecoin legislation a priority and also has actively courted miners and benefits financially from crypto in multiple ways. How are you, World Liberty, and the White House managing perceived conflicts of interest?
Well, there are no conflicts because I don't work with the White House. I've been in private industry my entire life, and we started World Liberty long before my father ever got elected to the White House, right? I mean, this is something we believed in crypto for a very long time. We believed in DeFi. As I said, before we got cut off, before our audio got cut off, I mean, we saw the worst of the banking institutions, the financial institutions, as they tried to cancel, and not only myself, my family, our companies in every way, shape, and form. And unfortunately, people around the world are seeing that every single day. And when you look at DeFi and the power of that, I mean, it's really restoring the power back to the people. There's nothing that DeFi, there's nothing that cryptocurrency on blockchain can't do better, cheaper, in every way faster, more transparently than the financial system that we have right now. Guys, as I sit here in our organization, I mean, there's not a Friday that goes by where I'm not chasing a swift wire transfer, hoping it comes in on, before the 4 p.m. deadline, or trying to send one out. You can transfer millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin overseas, while having a glass of wine with your wife at 11 o'clock at night. That's a beautiful thing. Our financial system in this country is antiquated. Our financial system in this country has been punitive to so many different people. And so we're reinventing the financial system, and American Bitcoin is a big part of that. Hut 8, using their power and their data centers, is a big part of that. And obviously, World Liberty in terms of stablecoin, which by the way is going to bring tremendous wealth into the United States, as well as DeFi is a large part of that. I'm all in personally. I really truly believe in this with every part of my heart and soul.
Eric, it's pretty clear your interest in crypto, but so is the interest from the president as well. What communication is there between you and the president about crypto, given the administration's focus on making it more accessible? Should there be a firewall if there isn't already?
Yeah, virtually none. I can tell you my father has always been a big part of cryptocurrency. He's frankly one of the things that got him elected. He is out there and he became kind of champion of an industry with the most unusual people. And when I say that, was people who traditionally, maybe weren't Republicans, people who might not have been hard asset people like my father was his entire adult life, but he fell in love with an industry because the regulators were going after that industry. They were going after the Ashers of the world the exact same way as they were going after our family. They were throwing lawsuit after lawsuit on them for no reason whatsoever. They were canceling them. They were debanking them. Coincidentally, because of politics, they happened to be doing the very same thing to our family. And so it brought maybe two unusual groups together, our family and this movement, as well as the crypto industry. And there's no doubt, and there's no shadow of a doubt that the crypto industry, the Bitcoin industry, him showing up at every single crypto conference and speaking at it, being the first presidential candidate to do so, really, opened his eyes to a lot of the industry, but also brought this massive continuity between the crypto industry and our family. And it's a beautiful thing. And, this started long before, obviously, he won the election. But my father's a massive believer in cryptocurrencies, as am I. And really, our political experience is what brought us to the table in this amazing new kind of financial frontier.
Eric, I hear what you're saying when you say there are no conflicts of interest and you're not communicating with your dad about crypto. But still, I would think that there are critics out there who see that the actions taken by the White House and your family maybe are not necessarily actually for the crypto industry, and instead they're enriching your family, rather than making the industry better. What would you say to those people?
Well, we must have had hell of an intuition if we popped up a company a year before he was ever even elected, president, thinking that could somehow enrich us. I mean, by that same standard, lower energy prices enriches us because we use gasoline in our lawnmowers at our golf courses, right? I mean, it's kind of a ridiculous notion. The entire world is going toward the crypto industry. There's no question about it. The financial system is antiquated. The financial system in this country is no longer 9 to 5. It's just the reality, guys. The financial system is going to start operating on a 24-hour, 7-day a week.
I'd only push back and say, somebody could argue, well, he's launching meme coins that critics would say don't necessarily have any value inherently. That could be an example of that.
I don't know. The meme coin did awfully well. It went to, I think, a $35 billion market cap overnight, right? And I think that was the crypto industry coming in saying, we love the Trump family. We love Donald Trump. This is the guy that stood behind us. This is the guy that believed in us when Gensler was going after all of us, when they were stripping bank accounts from us left and right, when they were, not giving us the rules of the road, but then trying to imprison, so many good people in the industry who just believed in a higher form of technology and a more efficient form of technology. Guys, crypto's here to stay. And America either leads the way in this revolution or they get left behind. I can tell you, from real estate and what I do, and I've been on these shows a million times, I'm all over the world, and everywhere I go, every country, every person, every big corporation is pushing cryptocurrencies.
Eric.
They believe in it, they want it, and America either leads the way or they get left behind.
One more question about World Liberty in particular. Between the meme coins and how much money was raised, and World Liberty raising $550 million from governance tokens, what's the money being used for? What are the use of proceeds?
Well, they use it in case of World Liberty. So many of those proceeds are actually getting, put into the treasury and further reinvested into crypto, which is a lot of fun. And we publicize our wallets every single day. You can go on right now and see exactly what the holdings of World Liberty is, and American Bitcoin is going to have that same transparency. So you see exactly what we have. You'll see what we have in the treasury. We believe in cryptocurrencies. We reinvest in cryptocurrencies, and again, I think that's really reassuring for the industry that you're not just going in there and pulling the money out. You're keeping the money exactly in the very kind of vehicle that you believe it should be utilized in.
Ash, I want to bring you.
The vision of the business is very clear. It's American Bitcoin. We want to build in America. We believe if you think about the beauty of bringing energy, bringing the gas that creates the electrons into the data center infrastructure, into ASICs to derive compute that securitizes the Bitcoin network, we're bringing together crypto and what makes America great, which is the infrastructure we own, the energy policies that we have. And so I think the commentary and the conversation I've been having is there should be no secret in terms of the administration and their stances on crypto. I mean, people who voted last year, they knew exactly the crypto president they were getting. And so anyone can buy Bitcoin, anyone can have that exposure. And I think today, as we launch American Bitcoin and as we go and talk about the business, it's very clear. We believe in Bitcoin. We believe in America. We believe in the energy infrastructure that lies here, and we want to build a company that's leading within that sector and that brings all those things together that we're super passionate about.
I think this is an important question in the vein of what this means for a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Initially, the idea here was forfeited Bitcoin, seized Bitcoin. But the creation of this venture, what does it mean for the ability to mine Bitcoin for the creation of a reserve?
Look, I think if we talk about a reserve for American Bitcoin, we're all in, right? Hut 8 was one of the first publicly traded companies that held Bitcoin on the balance sheet. American Bitcoin will mine Bitcoin. It will hold the Bitcoin. It will create the exposure. I think whatever the federal, state governments, there's a lot of state governments that are bringing on strategic reserves as well. I love the idea of this adoption, and we'll lead by example as we have historically. And with American Bitcoin, we will mine Bitcoin for cheaper than it costs. We will hold Bitcoin, and we will be long-term bettors of the asset.
Hut 8 CEO Asher Genoot and American Bitcoin Corp Chief Strategy Officer Eric Trump, we thank you both for joining us today on the heels of the creation of a new company. We're looking forward to seeing exactly where that goes. That's all for Bloomberg Crypto today. Join us again, same time, same place next week. For me and Tim, this is Bloomberg.